Woo! Oh, baby. Hey,
That's
afternoon,
my
and
prop
welcome
too.
to Positive Impact. I'm with Love Infinity and Justin Taylor, two really fun people to talk to with and about positive impact and your lifestyle. So, how's it going, you guys?
Great.
Good. Awesome. Thank you.
I had a bachelorette party last night. First time in a long time. It was super fun. I haven't laughed that hard in a long time.
Nice. Ooh.
Some of the goofy stuff people do.
But I think that keeps you young, right, Justin? Doesn't it?
Hey, you know what? At my age, anything that keeps me young is good.
I was talking with a client the other day about that whole theme, like staying young and staying healthy, and you could easily buy into people's diatribe about, my bones are creaking because I'm old, and here J-Lo's out there shaking it, baby, in her 50s, and I don't think she was sitting around saying, "Oh, I'm old, I'm old."
How about Madonna?
Madonna, amazing.
She rocks the high heels. Oh my gosh.
Yeah, Cher's still at it.
Yeah, right. A lot of
Cher's what? She's like 72 now, 73.
Wow.
Like that.
I didn't know that. Wow.
I didn't know either. That's interesting. Wow.
She looks like she's 25.
So what were some of the things you guys were told growing up that you felt like after a certain age you had kind of bit the dust? That was it for you?
Oh my God. How much time do we have?
That's my point. That's my point exactly.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah, pretty much everything. Yeah, pretty much everything.
What about you, Charity?
Yeah, no, I get younger and younger. So
well, Charity and I have talked about this before, and we both have our theories, but I'm just curious. So what was said in your house, Justin?
What was said in my house?
About age, about what was the repetitive thought?
It having grown up Greek, because when you're Greek, you're always Greek. It doesn't change. And there's these certain phrases that everybody continues from generation to generation, like "ach ta geramata," which means those old years. They would say things like Dora. That's kind of that sort of means now at this stage in life, there's this constant striving to get older faster than you really should be.
Right.
And I don't know, I just think that's probably just generational, and it just is what it is. So you have to sort of move beyond it. My dad recently passed away. He died on Thanksgiving, but he was 90, and really, other than using a walker, he was fine. My mom, she's 89. She's living with us, and other than a little unstable on her feet, she's doing fine. My grandmother on my mom's side, she made it to 104.
Wow.
Yeah, my grandmother on my dad's side made it to 94. So, there's something about longevity, I guess. I think that regardless of, how long you're allowed to stay here, you just always have to make the best of it.
I just want to do a shout out here from a David Octavio Gandel. Charity, love you. Love you, Charity.
I love you, David. David's great. We're going to have him on the show.
Woo-hoo.
He's got an incredible story, too, like you, Justin, life and death. And we did a really nice article with him a while ago, and then he ended up on the Steve, what's his face show? God, I can't think of his name. He does the Family Feud.
Oh, Steve Harvey.
Yeah, Steve Harvey show, and got him really famous. Now he's speaking all over the world and doing seminars, and he has one coming up, David. You can post your date for your anniversary for cancer. He had one of the worst kinds of cancers that you can have, and they told him he was going to die. There was nothing else they could do for him, and he just put scripture in front of him and believed that everything was possible with God. and he survived it. I mean, he was like nothing, skin and bones, and he's this bodybuilder, and he's back to bodybuilding now, and he's stronger than ever and healthier than ever.
Well, keep us posted on the date on that.
Yes, he's incredible.
Yeah. So Charity, what were the things that your parents grew up and taught you about age?
Well, I have longevity in my family too, especially on my mom's side with Cherokee Indian, and they had a tobacco farm, and it was some of my favorite childhood memories.
Wow.
And they raised bees and had every fruit tree in the world on the farm in the Smoky Mountains in Tennessee, where I was born.
Wow.
All my cousins are country singers. So about age, gosh, I don't even remember what they've said about age.
I just remember things like, oh, you know, I must have had a senior moment. I walked into a room and I have no idea what I went there for, you know, things like that. And my mom actually had rheumatic fever growing up. So she was in a sanitarium from age 9 to 12. And they kept telling her, you know, you're never going to have children. You're never going to do this. You're never going to do that. And then she met my father. And that just proves to you like how the belief, like the spiritual belief in a God or how love can transform thought. And, you know, as you know, thought kind of predetermines your behavior and how your body's going to respond cellularly. So I thought that was very interesting that their love kind of overcame that. And my parents went on to have four children successfully, no problems. And, but that didn't stop, you know, certain thoughts from creeping in, you know, late 40s, early 50s about my mother. Just like, she's like, you can do whatever you want. I was like 16. She was like, you can do whatever you want. I'm too old to care anymore. Go ahead, you know, go be crazy. And, you know, so climbing in and out of the bedroom window at 2 o'clock in the morning to go out and dance and stuff like that. But, yeah. Oh yeah.
I do remember thinking when I was young that 30 was old.
Right.
And now 50 is the new 30, or 60 is the new 30, and 70 is the new 40, and people are living a lot longer. And I was the Gaia channel, I noticed that there's shows now that they're reversing age, like Benjamin Bratt, because they want their parents to get younger. And so there's scientists that are creating that. And now with cloning and Botox and all the things that we have, and beliefs and changing the beliefs and people waking up, it's really helping the world.
So much can be accomplished with your own mindset. You know, like it really is all about what's going on in that brain of yours. You know, I help people on a daily basis, you know, rid themselves of pain. We lose weight together simply because we're working on that level, as well as working, you know, any diet, any exercise program will work. You know, what will work forever is a totally different matter. So that's what we're trying to work with. But
Justin being a philosopher and studying all the scripts of all ancient times, right? Like there's some truth to the word, right?
So absolutely. Yeah. In fact, there's some things, you know, that were left out. Like I think originally it did say in the Bible, hold my beer. But they left it out because, you know, when you look at your belief system, all the ancients of, you know, every civilization before and after, you know, Christianity and Islam and Buddhism and, you know, so many of the different philosophies and religious systems, they all had this basic understanding that thoughts become things, you know. In fact, things and thinks is very similar in wording. So as you think, so you become, you know, as man thinks, it is done unto him. So the beauty of that is, like, for example, as man thinks, it is done unto him, is that we don't do anything after we think. It's done to us. It's done for us, you know. So that thought is measurable energy, and energy can't be destroyed or you know. So when you have that thought, it's got to go somewhere, and it has to manifest somewhere, you know, whether you want to get into, you know, multiverses or you know, this particular place in time and space. But thoughts are things. So yeah, it's critical and it's important that we think correctly so that we can manifest correctly, not just for ourselves, but for everyone.
Do you find you do your own like self-editing? Do you go through and say, oh, you know what, that's a thought that I did not really intend to keep, and I want to get rid of it. I want to transform it. Do you ever do that?
Yeah, I do. My wife's really good at being my thought police, so she straightens me out every now and again. But yeah, and then if I have that and I catch it, then I try to replace it with something, of greater value,
Right.
and try to equalize it and push it aside. So we're all human. We have that ego radar system running, and it wasn't designed to lead. It was designed to follow. So what should we lead? We should lead with spirit. So we should lead with that still small voice within that knows better, but allows us to experiment and then hopefully learn from our mistakes, and then turn things around and have a positive impact. Hey, there's a good word, on those around us and those that aren't around us, because we're all interconnected. There's this gigantic matrix of consciousness, so that we're all, if you're animated, on this planet, you're connected with everything else here.
I find like that's why it's so refreshing to talk with Love Infinity, because I'm always, there's two parts of me. I was an artist for a while, and I was very creative, and it's still a part of me. It's still a part of my life and everything. But the reality is that I have this super analytical mind that will go into depth and detail about people's mindset, how they feel and what's going on. And you can tell what's going on in their mindset, but if they're in denial, how do you handle that? So I hyper analyze a lot, but I found it so refreshing to talk with Love Infinity, because everything is like, hey, it's a great day. She's so positive all the time. I just so appreciate you so much.
Well, I have my moments, and in chronic healing, when we think or say something that we don't really mean, there's an exercise that you can do, like cancel, clear it, or clear that. Like you behave as if it's a whiteboard, and that you can delete it and clear it out of the universe or the energy, the space.
Yeah. And in Reiki, they have a similar thing when you're like, when I go through attunements for other Reiki practitioners, there's something called Reiku, that you can swipe the energy away and send it back down to the earth. I find that really helpful, honestly, like when I want to disconnect from negative people, I just kind of like, do the energetic swish and then it's gone. But
send it down into the recycle bin.
Exactly. To be, transformed and made into something else.
And you can do it for other people too. When you hear people saying things they really truly don't mean. That was the download I got from the plant tech world, the plant medicine. When I was connecting with Ashtar, he's asked me to help other people, help humanity, delete and speak from their true heart, what they really mean from their truth. So I love doing that for people.
I think a lot of people recognize that, they get to a certain point in their own development and they realize, all these things that were being said to me growing up, they're not actually my truth. They don't resonate with me at all, so then that's a beautiful moment. That's that transformative moment when people are actually consciously aware of what they're developing and creating and able to change and choose something different, which I think is awesome.
Yeah. Well, we are just the collective sum of everything that's been thrown at us since we were, born. So, we have to, in some ways, be analytical at times, but we have to reach a point where we have to understand that we are the witness to these experiences. And, we are the observer to these experiences, and we're not the experience. We are, we're witness to it. We are learning from it, and we move beyond that. It's like having a mirror. We talk about duality all the time, and duality is, there are people that will say, well, that's an illusion, and okay, but we still have to use polarity, okay, to understand things. So, for example, with a mirror, once you look in a mirror, you're seeing basically a reflection of yourself, an image of yourself, and what you present to be. At least in a physical form. But after you see that, you don't need the mirror anymore. you know. So there are things that we have that happen in our life that present, so that we can see it, and so that we can not particularly label it, but recognize it and learn from it, and then move on, move forward rather than backwards.
Absolutely. In my business, personal training, you know, like I have people work out in front of a mirror all the time, and people are always, not always, there's certain people that like hide, they can't stand seeing themselves. But to me, that just kind of points to the fact that, you know, like they don't like what they've created, you know, and that acknowledgement is really hard up front to come to grips with, that, you know, I've created this mind that created this body, and now I have to kind of face it. And that's really a big hurdle for a lot of people. But initially, you know, people were like, oh, I don't want to see myself. I don't want to see myself working out. Who wants to see that? And in my mind, I think it gives you the opportunity to love what you've created. Given all the lessons you've lived through, everything you've been through, the good, the bad, and everything else, it's a beautiful thing still, you know. And I think that internal love is something that, you know, a lot of people need to cultivate more of in order to appreciate where they are now and look forward to how they can change it. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Well, I've changed the belief that ice cream is fattening. Ice cream and potato chips burn fat off of me. That took a really long time to change my mind, because that's generations and generations of beliefs.
Right. You know, it's what I try to keep in mind for people is, listen, if you eat anything off of the left side of the plate, there are no calories. I don't know if anybody's ever told you that. So I try to just eat off of the left side of the plate.
Push everything to the left.
Yeah. Plus, it's, you know, honestly, you know, we were talking about beliefs and things like that. Obviously, nutrition is a very important element for you know, all living things. But also, what's important is how you think about it. So if you're going to sit and eat a cheeseburger, and you're going to sit there and go through the guilty process, and, oh my God, I shouldn't be eating this. This is horrible. This is bad for my health. Well, yes, it is. So, you know, if you're going to eat something that you normally would think that you probably shouldn't eat, well, at least tell yourself that it's nutritious. Tell yourself that it's fine. It's okay. You know, in our very basic nature, we're animals. So if we had to, you know, we could drink some water out of a puddle in the street, you know, and survive that. So, you know, the body has the ability to break down what it needs and what it doesn't need, and you know, get rid of the stuff that it doesn't need and put to use the stuff that it needs. And I think that our thoughts can actually make something more nutritious to our body than it would have been if we just ate it with darkness.
I think anything consumed in joy and love is like a good thing. But when it becomes like a repetitive pattern that you're craving salts and sugars, and it points to a deficit somewhere else in your psyche that's needing endorphins and serotonin and GABA and all the rest of the neurotransmitter cocktails that keep us happy and healthy and balanced. Right. But you know, that's another thing. Like, I coach people all the time about how to curb cravings and create a healthier diet, but also get those other things. I'm talking to people who don't feel very recognized at work, so I'm working on that piece of their lives. Or for other people who don't feel particularly loved, you know, I'm working on that piece for some other people. And or just feeling safe. A lot of people don't feel safe in their daily environment, so they crave the carbohydrates and they crave the salts to keep the fat on their body, because that's a symbolic protective covering, you know. So there's a lot of, you know, layering of beliefs. I think that is hard to navigate when you're just doing it on your own. And thank God there are authors like, you know, Joe Dispenza and Bruce Lipton and all Mark Waldman, all those great authors to kind of help coach us in the process. That I think we really need to focus on that more than finding the cure for anything, because I think the cure is going to be in us.
Well, Dr. Joel Herman,
stop. Oh my God. Excuse me.
Wants to be on the podcast. Dr. Joel Herman, he's a contributor for Positive Impact and he's a great doctor in the world, and he talks about when your body meets its nutrition, it doesn't crave anything. I know there's another element of emotional, like Nicole was saying. And yeah, our body reacts to our emotions and our thoughts. He studied and believed to reverse disease by eating nutrients. He believes in eating, I think it's 8 pounds of vegetables a day, 4 pounds chopped up in a blender like a smoothie, and then 4 pounds cooked down, and it brings, and then you don't crave other things. You're satisfied because it that its nutrients have been met. On another subject, it all plays together. He wants to be on the podcast with us.
She's out of control. I'm like, what's going on? Someone's sitting in my driveway.
Oh.
I don't know who they are.
Uh-oh.
And I'm not able to kind of like go and check it out right now. So I'm sorry I missed all that. I apologize.
Oh, that's okay. She was just talking about how nutrition is such, an important element in our physical nature.
Yeah.
Obviously there are other things that take place in our emotional
Absolutely
state and things like that. But, eating the right things is very important. And we all know now through quantum physics and everything else that we can reverse disease. You were talking about your friend with the cancer when we first opened up today.
Yeah.
I've seen time after time after time where people, it goes back to, like, for example, biblically in Genesis, when God says, "Who told you you were naked?" We almost have to look at that for everything. So if you go to a doctor and you're feeling okay, you're going in for your annual physical, you're fine, you're just doing your checkup thing, and then the doctor comes in and says, I'm sorry, Mike, I have really bad news. You're at stage 3 cancer. Now you have a decision to make. Excuse me. You can accept that and move forward into stage 4 and die. Or you can say, okay, well, thanks for the information, and then start doing everything within your mental capability and power and spiritual power to turn that back around again. He was fine before he went there. And now if you accept, it's like, who told you were naked, right? If you accept, who told you that you have cancer, if you accept it, you're going to have a harder battle to get through it, rather than just accepting the fact that you do have the unlimited power of God within you. You have the ability to heal from any and all. I don't know if you watched the documentary called Heal, but if you haven't watched it, it's a great film. I've been reading a lot of Dr. Sue Morter lately, and the energy codes and the power that we have, and the ability that yeah, it's awesome. And these are things that aren't just brand new. These are teachings that go back thousands of years. You go all the way back to the oldest form of medicine, which is shamanism, right? So you go back to the ancient shamans all over the world, and you see these teachings from then looking forward. And then, in fact, I think it was in the 1800s where standardized medicine got a little out of hand to the point where people were even told to drink, mercury and other toxins to cure their ills. So that was the actual, birth of naturopathic medicine or alternative medicine, where people were going to standardized medicine and they were getting sicker and sicker and sicker. And taking more and more pills and more chemicals and more toxins. And then they finally began to lose trust of the standard medical community, and they started seeking alternatives. So that's where, now you have integrative medicine, where you're trying to get the best of both worlds. And I think that's critical. I think it's very important that we do that.
Yeah, I think it was Charity I was talking to, I think earlier in the week, about how we see a lot more spiritual and holistic professionals seeking science, as a basis for what they do, and science seeking more spiritual value in what they do. And I think that those two worlds, I say that on the first page of my website, I'm blending the science of physiology with the spirituality of our souls, to get results. And it's true, because I think if you leave one out, you know, you're kind of not availing yourself of that information. But if you leave the other out, then you're not really treating it holistically. So yeah, and it's funny what you said about the books, because I'm reading the teachings, the master teachings and learning of the teachings of the masters of the Far East. I'll get it right one day. At the same time, I'm reading. I finished Supernatural by Dr. Joe Dispenza. I'm also reading a book by Gary Flint. He's a psychologist, a PhD that created this very revolutionary way of changing behaviors very quickly, as well as Bruce Lipton's How God Changes Your Brain. And all of them are basically the same, you know, and that teachings of the masters of the Far East, that was written in the 1930s, you know, like, and these are all like current books, but they're all saying the same thing, you know. I have to, one point, I'll quote the books directly, because it's unbelievable how uncanny each one is saying, you know, revisit your thoughts about yourself and create what you want. Visualize yourself being that before you go to bed every night. And when you wake up first thing in the morning, you do that. Every single book has said that very same thing, but now like there's science behind it. It's not just these master teachings from the Far East, you know, that a lot of people would probably have discounted right away. Now they have 8,000 brain scans to prove that it works, you know?
Yeah, and I think that what's critical, I mean, you know, Rhonda Byrne gave us The Secret many years ago, and the one thing that wasn't taught in that lesson, Joe Dispenza and Bruce Lipton and all these folks are now making it known, and that is that we have to actually feel it. It's not just a matter of thinking it or saying it, but we have to feel it. It has to be that feeling. And that's what's difficult, because if you feel like crap, for whatever reason it might be, making yourself feel amazing is a lot of work, but it's critical to the process. You know, you can't manifest by only just thought, but you have to actually feel yourself in that place.
And I do think those pictures in your mind that that you're manifesting, that you're visualizing your mind, helps you get to that feeling of love, of compassion, of joy, of gratitude, that powerful essence, that force. But unless you can, I feel like, and I don't know if you guys have experienced the same thing. I've found a couple of people that just don't see it. They just can't see it happening. And that is...
I have a perfect example of that. When I was in Egypt with Reverend Michael Beckwith, one of the places that we stayed at near the coast, they have casinos in there. And, you know, I don't know if you guys know who Reverend Michael Beckwith is. He's He's in The Secret. He's got the dreads. Now he's bald head.
He saved all the dreads. They're gone. Yeah.
He was talking about going in the casino every night, and you know how he's very connected with energy. Even when you're in his presence, I imagine it's like being in Jesus Christ's presence, because the energy that just comes off of his presence is so powerful. So anyway, he's talking about going in the casino, and every night I was like, I'm going to go in the casino and I'm going to follow you around, because you can feel the machines that are going to win. Right. So every morning we get up at 6 a.m. and do a meditation on the beach. And that morning I come, and him and...
Did she freeze up on you too, Justin?
Yeah, she froze.
Uh-oh. It's the assistant.
There she's
they
back.
Go, Charity. So anyway, saying, Charity, where were you in the casino last night? We were looking all over for you. And he said, his assistant, she won $10,000 and he won $20,000. And I was like, wow. I was just about to tell everybody, oh my God. And they go, no, this is just for you, Charity. And they let me celebrate and feel that feeling of winning and jumping around for like 10 minutes. Because the longer you have that feeling, if you can go for 7 minutes or longer, as long as it's at least 7 minutes. And so they go, Charity, after they let me celebrate for 10 minutes, they go, we have something else to tell you. We're just joking. But keep the feeling. Stay there. Keep like you just won the lottery.
I love that.
And they said that. They said, we wanted you to have the feeling of winning all that money.
Honestly,
Right.
I think that's what's so successful about a lot of gyms is that they create this like tribe atmosphere. And then you can't wait to get there, because when you do finish a workout, you feel like celebrating. You feel like, you're in a party with all your friends. And I think that's so important. That's crucial. But that's a wonderful example.
Yeah, that's I love that, because that's a prime example of truth in a lie. See, when I ask people a lot of times, just to start off conversation, if I told you a lie, would you think there was any truth in it? Well, of course not. It's a lie. Well, no, let me show you how there is truth in a lie. Yeah. And I will use an example that's very similar to what you just said, that, if you believe that, and if it affects change, obviously there's some truth to it.
Right.
So whether it happened or not is insignificant. The fact that they said it happened was enough for you to run with it.
Yeah.
And if that works for that, imagine how well it works for someone telling you, oh, you're in perfect health. All your test results came back, and you're, whatever you're doing, just keep doing it. That's, and even if they were lying, you would still be in a better place.
Yes.
Because you would believe it. And belief is very strong. You guys know that. And faith is very strong. When and Charity and I have talked about this before. Jesus is walking through town. A lady that's ill she just believes that she could just touch the hem of his robe, that she would be healed. So she does that, and he turns around and says, "Woman, it is your faith that has healed you." See, so her faith was strong enough to believe that if she just did this one thing, that she would be healed. And that's a testament of faith. Faith is one of those really weird words that, it could be interpreted as believing in something that may or may not be true. It could be, it's defined in so many different ways. But I think that it's a heartfelt belief, and you just believe in your heart that something is going to happen, that's positive, that's effective for everyone, and that's going to be life-changing or life-improving.
It's like the placebo effect.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly like the placebo effect.
I would take one of their gummy vitamins and tell them when they didn't feel very good, because I didn't want to give them medicine. I would say, this is going to make you feel better. Superpowers. And then we also had the chill pill, which was a little mint it didn't taste like a mint. It was in my car, and they're like, "Mom, you need a chill pill today." So I would take the chill pill. I need a chill pill, and I would eat a piece of candy. I'm like, it worked. I'm chill.
That's awesome. I love that.
We had all kinds of things. Dancing on every table in my house you can dance on. Music was big in our house. Still is.
That's awesome.
You can't dance on every table anymore, though.
Yeah, we have. I'm actually in the. I have a recording studio at home, so I'm actually in the studio, and since I have so much gear in here, you could pretty much, you could dance on every desk and tabletop. It would be just fine.
I'm coming over. There's so much fun to it, dancing on tables.
Well, I'm Greek, so we have a long history of dancing on tables in public place. So I'm with you on that. There's
a restaurant chain down here. I think it's called
Opa.
Yeah, you can after you eat, and you get to throw napkins everywhere. Napkins are flying in.
Yep.
I love that ouzo. The Greek.
Yeah, the ouzo that'll kick your butt. If you're not used to ouzo, that'll, because it just tastes like licorice, and you just and before you know it, you're face down on the floor.
Isn't there
that from it? But it's like a good, happy, loving little buzz that gets you dancing.
Isn't there also Greek grappa? Do you do grappa?
I'm not familiar with grappa.
Okay, maybe it's not Greek.
That's Italian.
That's another kind. It's Italian, but I think it's Croatian too. I want to say. I'm not sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know. I've been to the Opa down in I think it's in, is it Palm Beach?
Yeah, Boca, Palm Beach area.
Yeah. There's one that's on the waterway on the inlet.
Yeah, that's the one I went to for a birthday.
Yeah. People actually come in on their boats and
yeah.
Yeah, I remember I was actually at that one the night that that the big news story about having found Saddam Hussein in hiding in the desert was on one of the TVs there. So that's we always relate events to other events in time or songs. You guys know, I mean, you hear a certain song and that just turns on the camera and puts you right back at that place, and whether it was in the front seat or the back seat of a car or
let me ask you something. Would, like, if you were to choose a song, your theme song for your life and how you want to live, what would it be?
It would be Edgar Winter Group and a song called Dying to Live.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, I think it was recorded originally in 1971 on Epic Records, and it's my theme song. It's such an emotionally charged and powerful song, and lyrically, it takes the phrase of "Why am I dying to live if I'm just living to die?" and then ultimately, the whole song as it progresses becomes, so I'll keep trying to live until I'm ready to die, and then it ultimately turns around completely in the end of the song, and it's just such a powerful lyric and a powerful melody that I would say that's at least my top pick for a theme song.
I'm just so impressed that you came up with it like that. Like,
oh yeah, it's been.
Wait a minute, do I know what I'm going to say?
Yeah,
it's been there for decades. I mean, I remember the first time I heard the song, it just cut right to the bone.
I know that psychically, that's what it was.
And nothing about it has changed since. It's still every single time I hear it. And also, I would have to say that Wichita Lineman from Glenn Campbell does that to me for whatever reason, whether it's the melody or the instrumentation or the storyline or whatever it is about the song. It just literally extracts me from the world of now and puts me into this like suspended animation of awe.
Wow.
I love those pieces.
That's awesome.
I would say I have a few songs. A lot of U2 songs I relate to. He's one of my favorite artists. One is one that sticks out, and then I like the song "Silly Little Love Songs" or "Silly Love Songs." The old I love you. That also
old Paul McCartney.
Yeah, I love that song. And then "Hallelujah." So I love music though. So
I know I do too.
I've been a musician all my life, and I played in a band for many, many years, and then I actually played on a worship team for a while, and I write songs. I've recorded a lot of songs, and I'm just a music freak. And I spent 40 years on the radio. Excuse me, as a DJ. So I got to meet a lot of the artists and people that I really admired in those days.
Awesome. So you were.
Yeah, it was fun.
That's very cool.
Yeah.
I gotta have you talk to my son. Absolutely. he's a communications major in WestCon, and I guess right now they're not utilizing the campus radio station, but he does want to get back on there when they get back in September. But have you ever heard of Your Beautiful Soul? I forget who sings it now. It's like, I don't want anything to go to waste. I love you and your beautiful soul.
Wow, that's a great voice, Nicole.
Oh, I sing in my shower. I sing in the car. I sing everywhere. In fact, that's going to be on my, I'm doing a YouTube series about some of the people that I work with in terms of like their weight loss, but also mind-body transformation. And this one woman's, I said, you know, your body represents something that like you need recognition. Where are you lacking recognition? I said, is there anything you've ever wanted to do your entire life? She said, I've always wanted to be a singer. So I have her practicing a song now, and I'm going to air that on YouTube the next time I get together with her. We're going to videotape her workout session and her mind-body session, and then she's going to sing for us. So that'll be fun.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Singing is a great thing. You know?
I'm telling you, I've never been to a charismatic church or anything like that, but gospel, whoo, goes right through me. I swear, it just radiates right through me that, you know, that Christ spirit is right there all over the place. I don't know if you guys.
Yeah, my daughter is an amazing singer, and she's actually on the worship team here at a very huge church where we live. And so she leads worship there, and she did it when we attended a church in Orlando where we used to be, where my mentor was a pastor there. And I love that church because it wasn't anything related to, you know, fire and brimstone. Everything was, you know, very much like Michael Bernard Beckwith with the Agape Center. Everything was positive. Everything was, you know, motivating. Everything was, you know, it was like the Tony Robbins of the church, you know what I mean? And so we loved it. But the music, the contemporary worship team that we had there, it was a small church, but the musicianship that we had was amazing. It was like Lakewood, you know, I mean, we had so much incredible talent. So that gave her a really strong foundation to lead worship here at the church near our.
You know, you should take a little video and show us at some point. You know, have it on our little podcast here.
Yeah, I'll do that.
I would love.
I think they actually record their stuff every Sunday. So.
Yay! Oh, that's awesome.
Michael Beckwith has some good CDs out there. I put that. That's what I listen to through the airport, and I'm pretty much when I travel dancing through the airport. People are like, oh. I love it. And when I know, when I know I'm going somewhere that's like got a lot of energy going on, and I don't want to get other people's vibes, I just put music on, at least in one ear, and I rock dancing.
I love it. I love it.
Yeah. Awesome. There's another song though. It's called "The Light of Love." It's such a beautiful song for the words. It's by she's a yoga singer. The words are so amazing. Every time I played it in my car, a lot of people have never heard this song. I've put people in my car will just burst into tears crying. Because they're so beautiful. And it's called "The Light of Love."
Light of Love.
Light of Love. And you spell her name Jai, and it's the last name is, I have it right here, Jagd.
Maybe we should, the next time we get together, maybe we should just have those things queued up on a speaker that we can play each other. Because I think I'm fascinated by music. I think music is amazing.
Yeah, music is. There was a band in the 70s. In fact, John Miles. It was the John Miles band, and John Miles is still touring today all over the world. And he's an orchestral rock star. So you know he brings. He plays piano and guitar, and he's a vocalist. But he also brings full orchestration with him wherever he goes. But I remember seeing him for the first time. He was an opening band for Jethro Tull, and I went to see Jethro Tull. And John Miles literally stole the stage. Nobody wanted Tull to come out. You know, it was amazing. And he has a song called "Music." It's just called "Music," and lyrically, it's just so powerful. It says, you know, music was my first love, and it will be my last. Music of the future, music of the past. To live without my music would be impossible to do, because in this world of madness, my music gets me through. And it's this massive orchestration and this movement. It's literally about 15 minutes long, this song called "Music." It's a masterpiece. But YouTube it, John Miles, "Music," and listen to it. It's very powerful.
Well, definitely. Any clothing? You have any closing thoughts? I was just going to ask you, you know, like last minute mantras? Like, what do you do in a pinch? What do you say to yourself when you're just feeling really crappy?
Well,
Love.
My last thoughts are to wish everybody a happy 4th of July weekend. A safe, happy 4th of July. I'm not sure if fireworks are canceled where you guys live. I have a wedding this weekend. It's supposed to be really fun. I'm looking forward to it because it's a lot of my. It's going to be an interesting wedding because it's military, and then all the plant tech, all of us hippies.
Wow.
We're doing it. We're blending that left and right hemisphere, yin and yang. We're doing it.
Yeah, I was going to show you. I have here on my phone. I have my
What does it say? The spirit within me, stronger than my physical desire. Habit.
Or disease, I eagerly learn, I have time. I will rejuvenate my life. Oh, that's beautiful.
Yes,
yeah. So I do that multiple times throughout the day, you know, even if I'm just driving around. And because it's on my lock screen also, every time I touch the phone, boom, it just pops up. So yeah, I'm all about affirmations. I think that, you know, we have to do it. And, you know, I used to be, I know we're, you know, trying to close things up, but I used to think to myself, well, if I don't really feel that way, then if I say it, I'm lying, and I can't believe a lie, right? So then I continued to learn and continue my research and, you know, all of that, and came to the realization that you have to see things as you want them to be, not as they are. So these positive affirmations, even if it's an affirmation that I don't particularly believe, I say it anyway.
Yeah.
Because we're all gardeners, we're all planting a seed, you know, and you know, as for example, a farmer doesn't go out in the middle of the night and dig up the field and see if the seeds are growing. They just know there's going to be a harvest, so they plant the seed and wait for the harvest. So I think that's what, you know, we need to do more of that, and plant the good seeds and wait for the harvest.
When my son graduated high school and he wasn't sure where to go or what to do, and he was like kind of vacillating, you know, communications major or something else, and you know, like, just make a decision. And I bought him a mug for Christmas, and it said, "Proceed as if success is inevitable. Just proceed. Yeah. Just move towards that. I don't care how boring or mundane it sounds, but that carries that vibration of success with it whenever you say it." Yeah.
Yes,
absolutely.
I wanted to add a note with your phone, like you have your affirmation there. I learned from one of the shamans to put a baby picture of yourself on your phone screen, so that if you're ever, because we say terrible things to ourselves, and so or if you're angry at yourself or whatever, if you look at a baby picture of yourself, you can't really yell or be mean to a baby. Yeah. Yourself, you say cute, nice things to your baby. So
that's funny.
Yeah,
that's a good idea.
Yeah, because we so many times we're supposed to talk to our, you know, the inner child, right? So I have it's funny that you bring that up. Hold on, I'm looking away from the camera a
so
second.
Cute. Boy,
Hold
look
on.
at the cheeks.
I know, I was a fat
one. How about that?
My mom, especially if you can see your eyes, but my mom had another little child came up to her when I was little and said, "She's got rubber bands around her wrist." I was so fat.
Oh, no.
You know, I always envied the moms that had chubby babies. My babies are all very skinny, very thin. Oh, that's so cute. You're so cute.
Oh, I love that picture.
You rub into your ears. How nice for you.
I know, right? It's crazy. I used to tape them shut, you know. I think that's why I started wearing a hat all those, you know, it's funny, I don't wear my hat on these shows, but I always have a hat on. And I think part of it, it's not because I've lost my hair. I think part of it was because I would just wear it to keep my ears pinned back. You know? and then it ultimately it worked out. You know,
whatever works.
Yeah, and then I look at my kids. So this is when my kids were little.
Oh, they're so
very sweet.
Yeah, so they're you know, my kids are, you know, 39 and 40. But they're amazing. They really are. My son's an actor. My daughter's a singer and voiceover talent. So they both decided to stay in entertainment. And,
Beautiful. Yeah, I don't have a baby picture of me on here.
Well, we need to do that.
So.
Yeah, you need to do that.
There are barely any pictures of me. It became like tedious to take pictures of your kids after the third,
Well, yeah, and for me, it was like, because I'm considerably older than you guys, we didn't have cell phones. We didn't have, a readily available camera. It was a Brownie or it was, a Polaroid or something. And so unfortunately, I don't have that many pictures of, my kids when they were younger, like people today do. I mean, God, geez, what's on the cloud, billions and billions and billions of people. I sounded like Carl Sagan there for a minute. With all of these pictures of their kids that, they're going to be for decades, and it's going to be awesome one day to have all that. It really is.
I am always and forever grateful that my brother was such a photographer in the family. He used to really irritate people, honestly, but I am so grateful today because he has videos of my family, my parents, both my parents have passed away, but it's so great to see them again, in that context. And I'm just so grateful for all of it. But thank you guys. I think I have to jump out. So if you want to continue talking, you guys can continue.
Well, we'll be on next week. Justin and I will announce our day, our regular day, and I'll see you on Wednesday.
Yes, absolutely. Thanks so much, you guys.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Happy
Stay
4th
well. Be safe. Happy Independence Day. Be well.
Independence Day.
Bye.
Bye-bye.